Welcome back to another spine-chilling installment of Most Haunted Places in each U.S. state, where we delve into the dark corners of America's haunted landscapes. In this sixth episode, we journey across the nation, uncovering spectral tales from each state that will leave you questioning the boundaries between the living and the dead. From the misty bayous of Louisiana to the rugged mountains of Montana, every state harbors its own haunted history, filled with ghostly apparitions, unexplained phenomena, and chilling encounters. Haunted places are more than just eerie locations. They are vessels carrying the echoes of lives lived and lost. These sites bear witness to events that continue to reverberate through time, battles fought on hallowed ground, unspeakable crimes cloaked in secrecy, and the lingering presence of those who refuse to move on. Each place holds its own dark secrets, whispered through creaking floorboards, flickering lights, and disembodied whispers. Whether you're drawn by morbid curiosity or an insatiable thirst for the supernatural, these destinations promise encounters that blur the line between reality and nightmare. In this episode, we'll explore some of the most infamous haunted locales across the United States, places steeped in lore and fear, where the past refuses to stay buried. We'll peer into the shadowy depths of haunted mansions, explore eerie swamps cloaked in mystery, and tread cautiously through abandoned institutions teeming with restless spirits. Along the way, we'll hear first-hand accounts from witnesses brave enough to confront the unknown, examine chilling evidence captured by paranormal investigators, and unravel the tragic histories that give rise to these hauntings. So dim the lights, keep your ears sharp, and prepare yourself for a descent into the macabre. As we step into the haunted heart of America, remember, sometimes, the most terrifying truths lie just beyond the veil, and once you cross it, there's no turning back. Alabama, the Sloss Furnaces, a forge of fear nestled in the industrial heart of Birmingham, Alabama. The Sloss Furnaces stand as a grim testament to the harsh realities of America's industrial boom, a sprawling complex of rusted ironworks and towering smokestacks that once fueled the nation's steel production. Built in 1882, the furnaces operated for nearly a century, churning out molten metal day and night while consuming the lives of countless workers in the process. Beneath its imposing facade lay a darker narrative, one marked by grueling labor, horrific accidents, and the vengeful spirits of those who perished within its fiery depths. One of the most enduring legends tied to the Sloss Furnaces revolves around the ghost of James Slag Wormwood, a cruel foreman infamous for his disregard for worker safety. Historical records indicate that Wormwood pushed his men to dangerous extremes, forcing them to work in scorching conditions without proper rest or equipment. His reign of terror came to an abrupt end in 1906 when he mysteriously fell into a vat of molten iron, his body consumed entirely by the searing heat. Since then, visitors exploring the site report hearing faint screams echoing through the cavernous halls, accompanied by the acrid smell of burning metal. Some claim to see a shadowy figure clad in tattered overalls pacing anxiously near the furnaces, his silhouette illuminated by flickering embers before vanishing without explanation. Another prominent figure in the furnace's haunted lore is believed to be a young boy known only as the Piper. According to local lore, the child was killed in a freak accident after wandering too close to the machinery. His spirit is said to haunt the upper levels of the facility, manifesting as the sound of a distant harmonica playing mournful melodies. Witnesses describe seeing a translucent figure sitting cross-legged on catwalks high above the ground, his face obscured by shadows. Others recount feeling an icy draft pass through them, as though the boy's ghost lingers nearby, watching silently. The furnace's basement, once used for storage and maintenance operations, has also gained a reputation for paranormal activity. Employees tasked with cleaning the area often describe hearing muffled voices and the sound of footsteps echoing through the cavernous space, though no one else is present. Objects are known to move inexplicably. Tools vanish only to reappear hours later in entirely different locations. One particularly unnerving incident involved a tour guide who swore he felt cold metal cuffs snap around his wrists, pulling him backward toward the darkness before releasing him abruptly. Theories abound that the basement harbors residual energy from countless accidents and deaths that occurred during the facility's operational years. Modern-day investigations into the Sloss Furnace's supernatural claims have yielded intriguing results. Thermal imaging cameras reveal significant temperature drops in specific areas, including the furnace rooms and the basement. Electromagnetic field (EMF) meters register unusual spikes, particularly near antique machinery believed to have been used in the plant's heyday. Perhaps the most compelling evidence comes from audio recordings, which capture disembodied voices uttering fragmented sentences like, "Help me," and "I can't breathe." Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted allure, the Sloss Furnaces continues to draw thrill seekers and history buffs alike. For those brave enough to tour the facility, the opportunity to encounter its spectral inhabitants adds an element of excitement and trepidation. Whether you're drawn by the allure of its architectural decay or the weight of its tragic legacy, the Sloss Furnaces promises an unforgettable experience where the line between the living and the dead blurs, and the echoes of yesterday linger just beyond reach. Alaska, the Alaskan Hotel, whispers of the frontier perched along the bustling streets of Juneau, Alaska. The Alaskan Hotel stands as a relic of the gold rush era. A grand yet weathered structure that has borne witness to decades of frontier drama, scandal, and tragedy. Built in 1913, the hotel quickly became a hub for prospectors, politicians, and adventurers seeking fortune in the untamed wilderness of the last frontier. Its ornate woodwork, sweeping staircases, and panoramic views of the Gastineau Channel evoke a sense of timeless elegance, yet beneath its polished exterior lies a darker narrative, one marked by betrayal, violence, and untimely deaths. One of the most pervasive legends tied to the Alaskan Hotel involves Room 215, said to be haunted by the spirit of a betrayed lover named Elizabeth. According to local lore, Elizabeth checked into the hotel in the early 20th century under the pretense of meeting her fiancé, only to discover he had abandoned her for another woman. Overcome with grief, she took her own life in the room, leaving behind a legacy of sorrow that continues to haunt visitors today. Guests staying in room 215 frequently report strange occurrences: lights turning on and off by themselves, radios tuning to static-filled stations, and the overwhelming scent of lavender lingering in the air. Some claim to wake up in the middle of the night to find their bedsheets tangled impossibly tight around their limbs, as if restrained by invisible hands. Another prominent figure in the hotel's haunted lore is believed to be Captain William Moore, a wealthy prospector who frequented the property during its heyday. Paranormal investigators exploring the inn have captured EVP recordings suggesting the presence of a male entity whispering phrases like, "Protect my gold," and "Leave me alone." Witnesses described seeing a shadowy figure resembling Moore pacing anxiously near windows, clutching what appears to be a satchel before vanishing without a trace. Some speculate that Moore remains tethered to the hotel due to guilt over exploiting indigenous lands, while others believe his spirit seeks to guard hidden treasures even in death. The hotel's basement, once used for storage and laundry operations, has also gained a reputation for paranormal activity. Employees tasked with maintaining the area often describe hearing chains rattling and heavy footsteps echoing through the cavernous space, though no one else is present. Some claim to see shadowy figures dragging invisible loads, their movements jerky and unnatural. A particularly chilling account comes from a maintenance worker who swore he felt cold metal cuffs snap around his wrists, pulling him backward toward the darkness before releasing him abruptly. Overnight visitors to the Alaskan Hotel frequently recount bizarre experiences that defy logical explanation. Lights flicker unpredictably, especially in hallways leading to the older sections of the building. Doors slam shut on their own, and the scent of cigar smoke wafts through the air despite the hotel's strict no-smoking policy. One guest described waking up to find his reflection in the mirror staring back at him, but not quite matching his movements, as if another entity stood behind him, mimicking his actions. Another recounted seeing a man in a dusty miner's uniform standing at the foot of her bed, his hollow eyes boring into hers before vanishing without a sound. Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted reputation, the Alaskan Hotel remains a popular destination for tourists and locals alike. Its rich tapestry of human drama, interwoven with tragedy and loss, creates an atmosphere unlike any other. For those brave enough to book a stay, the possibility of encountering Elizabeth, Captain Moore, or one of the countless other spirits said to roam its halls adds an element of excitement and trepidation. Yet, As each new visitor crosses its threshold, they must decide whether they are ready to face the darkness that lingers within these walls, or will they become another chapter in the hotel's tragic tale. Arizona. The Jerome Grand Hotel. Ghosts of the mining town perched atop the rugged hills of Jerome, Arizona. The Jerome Grand Hotel stands as a haunting monument to the boom and bust cycles of the American West, a majestic structure that once served as a hospital before being converted into a hotel in the 1990s. Originally constructed in 1927 as the United Verde Hospital, the building catered to miners and their families during the town's mining heyday. However, as the mines dried up and the population dwindled, the hospital fell into disrepair, leaving behind a legacy steeped in illness, despair, and unexplained phenomena. One of the most enduring legends tied to the Jerome Grand Hotel involves the ghost of a young girl named Patricia, who reportedly died in the hospital after falling down a flight of stairs. Visitors exploring the hotel's lower floors often hear faint giggles emanating from empty hallways, accompanied by the sound of small feet pattering against the wooden floors. Some claim to see a translucent figure skipping playfully near the staircase, her laughter echoing eerily before vanishing without explanation. Others describe feeling an icy draft pass through them, as though Patricia's spirit lingers nearby, seeking companionship. Another prominent figure in the hotel's haunted lore is believed to be Dr. James Douglas, a former physician who oversaw the hospital during its final years. Paranormal investigators exploring the property have captured EVP recordings suggesting the presence of a male entity whispering phrases like, "Save her," and "It's too late." Witnesses describe seeing a stern figure clad in a white coat walking briskly down corridors, his expression frozen in perpetual irritation. Some speculate that Dr. Douglas remains tethered to the hotel due to guilt over medical failures, while others believe his spirit seeks to maintain authority even in death. The hotel's basement, once used for storage and morgue operations, has also gained a reputation for paranormal activity. Employees tasked with maintaining the area often describe hearing muffled screams and the sound of chains rattling, though no one else is present. Objects are known to move inexplicably. Tools vanish only to reappear hours later in entirely different locations. One particularly unnerving incident involved the housekeeper who swore she saw a group of shadowy figures huddled together in the corner of the room, their faces gaunt and hollow. Theories abound that the basement harbors residual energy from countless autopsies and experiments conducted in secret. Modern-day investigations into the Jerome Grand Hotel's supernatural claims have yielded intriguing results. Thermal imaging cameras reveal significant temperature drops in specific areas, including the basement and the staircase. Electromagnetic field (EMF) meters register unusual spikes, particularly near antique medical equipment believed to have been used in unethical procedures. Perhaps the most compelling evidence comes from audio recordings, which capture disembodied voices uttering fragmented sentences like, "Help me," and "Let me go." Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted allure, the Jerome Grand Hotel continues to draw thrill seekers and history buffs alike. For those brave enough to tour the facility, the opportunity to encounter its spectral inhabitants adds an element of excitement and trepidation. Whether you're drawn by the allure of its architectural grandeur or the weight of its tragic legacy, the Jerome Grand Hotel promises an unforgettable experience where the line between the living and the dead blurs, and the echoes of yesterday linger just beyond reach. Arkansas. The Crescent Hotel. Echoes of healing and horror nestled in the picturesque Ozark Mountains of Eureka Springs, Arkansas. The Crescent Hotel stands as a beacon of both healing and horror, a grand Victorian-era masterpiece, whose opulent facade conceals decades of tragedy, scandal, and supernatural activity. Built in 1886, the hotel initially served as a luxury retreat for affluent travelers seeking respite amidst the natural beauty of the region. Over the years, it transitioned through various roles, including a school for girls and a cancer hospital run by the infamous quack Dr. Norman Baker. Today, its storied past makes it one of the most haunted hotels in America, drawing visitors eager to confront its spectral inhabitants. One of the most pervasive legends tied to the Crescent Hotel involves Room 218, said to be haunted by the spirit of Michael, a worker who fell to his death during the hotel's construction. Historical records indicate that Michael plummeted from scaffolding while attempting to secure roofing tiles, leaving behind a bloodstain that supposedly still mars the floorboards of the room. Guests staying in room 218 frequently report strange occurrences: lights flickering without cause, disembodied footsteps echoing through the space, and the overwhelming scent of fresh paint lingering in the air. Some claim to feel an icy hand brushing against their skin, while others describe seeing a translucent figure hammering nails into the ceiling before disappearing. Another prominent figure in the hotel's haunted lore is believed to be Theodora, a patient of Norman Baker's fraudulent cancer treatments. According to historical accounts, Theodora succumbed to her illness after enduring weeks of ineffective therapies and neglect. Her ghost is said to haunt the fourth floor, manifesting as a wailing voice heard late at night. Visitors exploring the area report hearing faint cries emanating from empty rooms, accompanied by the sound of dragging footsteps. Some claim to see a pale figure crouching in the corner of darkened rooms, her wide eyes filled with terror. Others describe feeling an oppressive weight pressing down on them, as though Theodora's despair permeates the very walls. The hotel's basement, once used for storage and morgue operations, has also gained a reputation for paranormal activity. Employees tasked with maintaining the area often describe hearing muffled voices and the sound of footsteps echoing through the cavernous space, though no one else is present. Objects are known to move inexplicably. Tools vanish only to reappear hours later in entirely different locations. One particularly unnerving incident involved a maintenance worker who swore he saw a group of shadowy figures huddled together in the corner of the room, their faces gaunt and hollow. Theories abound that the basement harbors residual energy from countless acts of suffering and exploitation inflicted upon its vulnerable patients. Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted allure, the Crescent Hotel continues to draw thrill seekers and history buffs alike. For those brave enough to tour the facility, the opportunity to encounter its spectral inhabitants adds an element of excitement and trepidation. Whether you're drawn by the allure of its architectural grandeur or the weight of its tragic legacy, the Crescent Hotel promises an unforgettable experience where the line between the living and the dead blurs, and the echoes of yesterday linger just beyond reach. California. The Queen Mary, a floating nightmare docked permanently in Long Beach since 1967, the RMS Queen Mary stands as one of the most iconic haunted ships in the world, a floating relic of luxury travel and wartime tragedy. Built in 1936, the ocean liner served both as a glamorous cruise ship and a troop transport during World War II, ferrying thousands of soldiers across perilous waters. Beneath its elegant facade lies a darker narrative, one marked by collisions, suicides, and untold horrors that have left an indelible mark on its haunted halls. One of the most infamous incidents tied to the Queen Mary occurred in 1942, when the ship accidentally rammed and sank her escort ship, the HMS Curacao, off the coast of Ireland. Over 300 lives were lost in the disaster, many of whom were trapped inside the smaller vessel as it broke apart. Survivors claimed to hear screams coming from beneath the waves, a haunting sound that has reportedly echoed aboard the Queen Mary ever since. Today, visitors staying overnight in the ship-turned hotel often recount hearing faint cries and splashing noises near the lower decks, particularly around areas associated with the collision. Another prominent legend tied to the Queen Mary revolves around the spirit of John Petter, a crew member crushed to death in the ship's engine room in 1966. According to local lore, Petter's restless spirit continues to wander the narrow corridors of Boiler Room No. 1, his final resting place. Paranormal investigators have captured chilling EVP, electronic voice phenomenon, recordings in which disembodied voices whisper warnings like, "Get out," or "Leave me alone." Staff members tasked with maintaining the area speak of tools moving inexplicably, lights flickering without cause, and the sensation of being watched by unseen eyes. The ship's first-class pool, now permanently closed, is also rumored to be haunted by the ghost of a young girl named Jackie, who allegedly drowned in its waters. Guests frequently report seeing a childlike figure playing near the pool, giggling softly before vanishing into thin air. Others describe feeling an inexplicable coldness or seeing wet footprints appear spontaneously on the tiled floor. These encounters are so frequent that the hotel offers guided ghost tours, allowing curious visitors to explore the darker side of its storied past. Modern-day investigations into the Queen Mary's supernatural claims have yielded intriguing results. Thermal imaging cameras reveal significant temperature drops in specific areas, including the engine room and the first-class pool. Electromagnetic field (EMF) meters register unusual spikes, particularly near antique machinery believed to have been used during the ship's operational years. Perhaps the most compelling evidence comes from audio recordings, which capture disembodied voices uttering fragmented sentences like, "Help me," and "Don't let go." Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted allure, the Queen Mary continues to draw thrill-seekers and history buffs alike. For those brave enough to tour the facility, the opportunity to encounter its spectral inhabitants adds an element of excitement and trepidation. Whether you're drawn by the allure of its maritime grandeur or the weight of its tragic legacy, the Queen Mary promises an unforgettable experience where the line between the living and the dead blurs, and the echoes of yesterday linger just beyond reach. Colorado, the Stanley Hotel, inspiration for nightmares perched majestically in the foothills of Estes Park, Colorado. The Stanley Hotel stands as a beacon of elegance and intrigue, a grand structure that inspired Stephen King's The Shining and has since become one of America's most haunted landmarks. Built in 1909 by freelance Oscar Stanley, the hotel quickly gained fame for its luxurious accommodations and breathtaking views of the Rocky Mountains. However, beneath its polished exterior lies a darker narrative, one marked by unexplained phenomena, spectral sightings, and a lingering sense of unease that has captivated visitors for over a century. One of the most pervasive legends tied to the Stanley Hotel involves Room 217, said to be haunted by the spirit of Elizabeth Wilson, a former housekeeper who met a tragic end. According to historical accounts, Elizabeth was injured in a gas explosion while working in the room, leaving her severely burned but alive. Her ghost is said to haunt the space, manifesting as flickering lights, rearranged furniture, and the scent of fresh flowers. Guests staying in room 217 frequently report strange occurrences, objects moving inexplicably, disembodied footsteps echoing through the space, and the overwhelming feeling of being watched. Some claim to see a translucent figure tidying up the room, only to vanish when approached. Another prominent figure in the hotel's haunted lore is believed to be Lord Dunraven, a wealthy Irish nobleman who once owned much of the land surrounding Estes Park. Paranormal investigators exploring the property have captured EVP recordings suggesting the presence of a male entity whispering phrases like, "This is my land," and "Leave me in peace." Witnesses described seeing a shadowy figure clad in aristocratic attire pacing anxiously near windows, his silhouette illuminated by moonlight before vanishing without explanation. Some speculate that Lord Dunraven remains tethered to the hotel due to unresolved grievances over losing his property, while others believe his spirit seeks to maintain dominion even in death. The hotel's concert hall, once a venue for lavish performances, has also gained a reputation for paranormal activity. Musicians performing on stage often report hearing discordant notes played on phantom instruments, disrupting their melodies mid-performance. On more than one occasion, attendees have sworn they saw couples dancing gracefully across the floor, only to realize there was no music playing and no visible source of illumination casting their silhouettes. Modern-day investigations into the Stanley Hotel's supernatural claims have yielded intriguing results. Thermal imaging cameras reveal significant temperature drops in specific areas, including room 217 and the concert hall. Electromagnetic field (EMF) meters register unusual spikes, particularly near antique furnishings believed to have belonged to original owners. Perhaps the most compelling evidence comes from audio recordings, which capture disembodied voices uttering fragmented sentences like, "Help me," and "Let me go." Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted allure, the Stanley Hotel continues to draw thrill-seekers and history buffs alike. For those brave enough to tour the facility, the opportunity to encounter its spectral inhabitants adds an element of excitement and trepidation. Whether you're drawn by the allure of its architectural grandeur or the weight of its tragic legacy, the Stanley Hotel promises an unforgettable experience where the line between the living and the dead blurs, and the echoes of yesterday linger just beyond reach. patterns across haunted places, themes of tragedy and resilience as we traverse the haunted landscapes of America. From the opulent halls of the Stanley Hotel to the somber wards of the Crescent Hotel, striking similarities emerge that transcend individual locations and histories. These patterns are not merely coincidental but reflect universal themes of human emotion, unresolved trauma, and the enduring power of memory. From the wailing corridors of hospitals to the shadowed basements of historic hotels, these sites share a commonality that binds them together in a spectral sisterhood of sorrow and suspense. One recurring motif is the concept of unfinished business. Whether it's the victims of unethical experiments, or the betrayed trust of patients subjected to inhumane treatments, these spirits seem tethered to the earthly realm by grievances left unaddressed. Their presence manifests as restless energy, often communicated through auditory phenomena, cries, whispers, or disembodied voices, that serve as pleas for acknowledgement or closure. This theme resonates across cultures and belief systems, reflecting humanity's innate need to resolve conflict and seek peace, even in death. Another shared characteristic is the role of architecture in amplifying paranormal activity. Historic buildings, with their labyrinthine corridors, thick walls, and hidden alcoves, create environments conducive to isolating individuals and heightening fear. These structural elements act as metaphors for the psychological barriers erected by those who suffered within their confines, trapping emotions such as anger, despair, and regret. It's no coincidence that many reported hauntings occur in spaces imbued with emotional significance: operating rooms where surgeries went awry, basements where bodies were stored, or wards where patients met tragic ends. Lighting and sensory manipulation also feature prominently in these narratives. Flickering lights, sudden temperature drops, and inexplicable odors are staples of ghostly encounters, designed to disorient and unsettle. Such phenomena strip away the comfort of familiarity, forcing guests to confront the unknown. The use of mirrors, a recurring element in stories from various haunted hospitals, adds another layer of psychological tension, as reflections distort perception and blur the boundary between self and other. This interplay of light and shadow becomes a tool wielded by unseen forces, creating moments of visceral terror that linger long after the initial shock subsides. Thus, while each establishment boasts its own distinct flavor of fright, the underlying threads connecting them reveal a tapestry rich with meaning. These patterns remind us that the supernatural is not so much about the entities themselves but the stories they tell, the echoes of lives interrupted, passions extinguished, and truths obscured. As we continue to explore these haunted locales, we find ourselves grappling not only with the specters of the past but with the timeless questions they raise about life, death, and everything in between. As we bring this chilling journey through America's most haunted places to a close, one thing becomes abundantly clear: the spirits of the past refuse to be silenced. Each creaking floorboard, each whispered name, and each fleeting shadow serves as a testament to lives lived, lost, and lingering in the spaces we dare to call haunted. These stories are more than mere campfire tales. They are fragments of history, stitched together by human emotion, tragedy, and the relentless passage of time. They remind us that the line between the living and the dead is far thinner than we might believe, and that sometimes the most terrifying truths lie just beyond the veil. But why stop here? If these accounts have stirred something within you, a spark of curiosity, a shiver of excitement, I urge you to take the next step. Visit one of America's haunted places yourself. Walk the same halls where spirits are said to roam. Stand in the rooms where history's echoes reverberate, and let the unknown brush against your senses. Whether you're a skeptic seeking proof or a believer eager to commune with the other side, these forsaken institutions offer an unparalleled opportunity to confront the mysteries that lie just beyond comprehension. There's nothing quite like experiencing the weight of decades-old despair firsthand, feeling the chill of a presence that defies explanation, or hearing the faint strains of voices from another time. And when you return, share your story. Did you feel the icy touch of a ghostly hand? Hear the faint tap of footsteps in an empty corridor? Or perhaps nothing happened at all, but isn't that silence just as intriguing? Your experiences add to the rich tapestry of lore surrounding these haunted places, ensuring their legacies endure for generations to come. Share your findings with fellow enthusiasts, document your journey, and keep the conversation alive. After all, every whisper contributes to the symphony of the supernatural. Until then, keep your lanterns lit and your courage steady. The spirits are waiting.